What are the top nutrients that your eyes crave every day?
Well, they're all, oddly enough, one way or the other, antioxidants.
Okay.
So we're talking about vitamin A, vitamin C, E, zinc, the omega fatty acids, and in a more specialized sense, lutein, and a very powerful eye antioxidant called zeaxanthin, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But it's important to realize that your eyes are some of the most sensitive tissue in your body.
Yeah.
They're the most volatile, they're the most sensitive, and they are easily subject to free radical damage and oxidative stress. And consider the environment we have today, with all the pollutants in the air that the eyes have to see, so many things in the electronic world that have to be
stared at,
viewed for hours sometimes. All of that puts continual stress on eye tissue. And so having supportive nutrients to help with eye health has become increasingly more important.
And vitamin A, you know, the role of vitamin A in preventing like night blindness or maintaining retinal health. What else what do people not realize about that?
Well, vitamin A also acts as an antioxidant.
Okay.
And it has...
Is vitamin A water soluble or fat soluble?
Fat soluble.
Fat soluble.
So it does store in the body, primarily in the liver. And when we do a nutrition evaluation on potential deficiencies, one of the symptoms of vitamin A deficiency is inability to see well in dim light.
Okay.
And so that gives us an idea of how vitamin A plays a role in eye health.
And vitamin C is antioxidant.
Yes.
And it protects against cataracts and oxidative damage. Is vitamin C water soluble, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that has to be replaced on a regular basis.
Okay. And then vitamin E shields the eyes from like free radicals and reduces the risk of macular degeneration. What is that?
Macular degeneration is a breakdown of the macula of the eye tissue, and it usually occurs with advancing age.
Okay.
We usually see it in people 60 plus, 70 plus. And again, it is due to oxidative damage. And there was a powerful clinical study that involved antioxidants and eye health. And the end result was that now you can buy formulas specifically to support and slow down the process of macular degeneration.
And talking about certain vitamins and nutrients, a lot of people think that they can get all the nutrients their eyes need from diet. Do you think that's possible?
I don't think you can get all the nutrients you need from diet for any reason.
Yeah.
And that's because of the degradation of our food supply, the way it's farmed, the way it's raised, the way it's processed, the way it's harvested, the way it's canned, the way it's frozen, the way it's mismanaged from beginning to end.
That's a good
So,
list.
no, if you're concerned about your eyes, I'd be thinking strongly about supplementation.
So how does antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E protect your eyes from aging? What does it actually do?
Well, the number one cause of damage to eye tissue is oxidative damage from free radicals.
Okay.
And that comes from, remember, your eyes are exposed to the air, to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, practically constantly. Well, what's floating around in our air in the way of pollutants and toxins and chemical residues are all striking the surface of your eye tissue.
Yeah.
And that process creates free radicals which cause oxidative damage. And so anything that you can take in the way of an antioxidant is going to be beneficial.
And so when I was a kid, and I'm not sure if these days these kids hear it, but they've always said, eat carrots for better eyesight. Is that a fact or a myth?
It's a little of both.
Okay. What vitamins are in? Because they must be discussing what vitamins are in carrots.
Yeah, carrots have a substance, for lack of a better word, called beta carotene.
Beta carotene.
And beta carotene is erroneously often referred to as vitamin A. It is not. It is a precursor of vitamin A, which means that the body can manufacture vitamin A from beta carotene, but it can only do so on a limited basis. So the more beta carotene you consume, doesn't really make any difference, because the body can only convert it to vitamin A at a specific rate. And consuming excess amounts of carrots, like carrot juicing and all of that, just turns your skin orange. It's relatively harmless, but it doesn't elevate vitamin A beyond a certain point. So you really need vitamin A as well, primarily from fish liver oil extract.
Oh, okay. And that's the connection between omega-3s and dry eyes.
There we go. Right.
Yeah. And so what how does that work?
Well, the body needs lubrication.
Yeah.
And so many people are on this low-fat kick.
Yeah.
Cut all the fats out, causes heart disease. Another myth.
Yeah.
Reduce cholesterol, causes heart disease. Another myth. And we've discussed those myths many times and probably will again. But the low-fat or reduced fat diet causes the body to dry out, literally, in many different areas. And eye tissue is one of them. And what happens to people when that occurs is they get what's called dry eye syndrome. And the tear ducts overwork constantly, causing the eyes to be watery and weepy. And people think, how could that be dry eye? My eyes are all wet. But that's what the body is trying to do to lubricate your eye tissue. And omega fatty acids definitely help reduce that problem.
And so why do you think why do you think obviously it's essential that you use a supplement to provide these key nutrients for your good eye health? But what time do you think it's good to start that? In your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s? It's probably good to start considering your environment even in your 20s, right?
Absolutely. Because the indiscretions that we endure, mostly through self-infliction, in our 20s and 30s, we end up paying for in our 40s and 50s.
Yes.
And if you want a better life in your 40s and 50s, do something about it before it's a problem. And those people who are in those older age groups, certainly 50 plus, it is essential that you provide adequate antioxidative nutrients if you want to value your eyesight.
Yeah, and so when you're in your 20s and you feel indestructible, that's a good time to start.
That's the time you want to start taking care of it.
Yeah, and then if you've already made it to your 40s and 50s and you haven't addressed it, doing it in your 40s and 50s with a liquid vitamin like High Vitality Liquid from phoenixvitamins.com or the High Vitality capsules on phoenixvitamins.com, that is a good way to make sure you're getting the absorption, because up in your 40s and 50s, your absorption is, the ability to absorb is a lot less.
That's right. And like Linus Pauling said, wonderful guy. The late Linus Pauling said, it's not what you take, friends, it's what you absorb.
Yeah.
And liquid delivery provides the highest level of absorption into the cells of the body that we currently know of.